Welcome, everyone, to this Clubhouse event. Your energy, your health, be responsible, take action with honor, respect, and gratitude. I would like to start by raising the vibration in the space we're in now by calling for the highest possible vibration, calling for the truth to come forward into our discussion today so that we may see the truth in all that we see, so that we may hear the truth in all that we hear, so that we may speak the truth in all that we say. Shall we all be in that truth, that frequency of truth, so that we have nothing but the truth? Shall we call for the power divine feminine to bring balance back into our world, showing us the way through honor, respect, and gratitude? Shall we call for the power divine feminine to bring balance back into our world, showing us the way through honor, respect, and gratitude? Shall we call for the power divine feminine to bring balance back into our world, showing us the way through honor, respect, and gratitude? Shall we call for the highest possible vibration? Shall we call for the highest possible vibration? Shall we call for the highest possible vibration? I now ask for everyone to take a sip of water and ask for the water to hydrate our brains and bodies. Water is the medium that holds memory and will assist in the flow of information that we shared here on Clubhouse this evening. Shall we now take a deep breath in, bringing in peace, and release and exhaling everything else out? Take another deep breath in, bringing in joy and gratitude, and exhale out. And another deep breath in, bringing in life into our bodies. And exhaling, releasing all that does not serve us. And like Heshen Veritas, everyone, I call for the oneness and truth of the information shared by each and every one of us on this call, calling in that frequency of truth and all that is truth with honor, respect, and gratitude to you all. And for those who are unfamiliar with the term, the greeting in Lakesh is the Mayan greeting for oneness, signifying unity, where everything and everyone is interconnected. It is that ideal community where we can share with one another our ideas, goals, and aspirations. And veritas, the Latin word for truth, to see the truth in all things. So therefore, Enlikish and Veritas is that declaration of oneness and truth in which we are clearing our spaces, the space we are in now, so that we are able to bring forth truthful, elevated, enlightened discussion this evening, clearing away those ill thoughts that we tend to pick up and carry with us from our everyday lives and life experiences. The words Enlikish and Veritas is powerful affirmation, bringing into the space a vibration and frequency that will assist in bringing in clarity and a greater understanding of truth for all who are present and to all who are listening. And remember, our words have power. So it is important that we use our words carefully, using words of upliftment, encouragement, and enlightenment. And by doing so as a collective will help us to transform our spaces and places into higher frequencies that will result in better experiences in our lives and assist in raising the vibration of those who we meet. So, Enlikish and Veritas, everyone, with honor, respect, and gratitude. I would like for everyone again to hold their water in their hands and with intention in mind, send the frequency of Enlakesh to your water. Then take a sip of your water, thereby assisting the signaling and incorporation of that elevated frequency of Enlakesh into the cells of our bodies as we are 70% water. Using this technique will assist in the ease and flow of information that we share this evening. So, Enlakesh and Veritas, everyone, with honor, respect, and gratitude. All right, everyone. Before we start, I would like to start by encouraging everyone to listen to Lotus posts. They're very awe-inspiring and a lot of truth that's being expressed. And this leads me to the topic. I wanted to talk about the power of our words. You know, our words are so prevalent in our lives today. It affects our thinking and behavior, and it's our way to communicate. You know, words generate sound from sound waves that is a form of energy. in which we can then hear these sound waves vibrating in our eardrums, in our ears, and then translates, giving it meaning to the words in our minds, in our thoughts. So it not only allows us humans to communicate with each other, but it also allows for communication with other animals and other life forms. But we can go further and note that each word holds a particular energy. So we have low vibrational words such as hate and anger, energy draining words that then supports illness and dis-ease and suppresses our immunity. And then there are words of joy such as love, gratitude, saying thank you, uplifting, energizing, enlightening, and immune boosting. You can actually feel words that you express and that is expressed by others. So words basically creates emotions within us. And words are consciousness. And this is what Lota expresses in her recent reels, her postings. So our words are felt by our plants. And studies have shown that when you connect monitors onto the plants, it shows impulses and reactions of the plants based on the words that are being said or the thoughts that we think. And through our words, we obtain knowledge. So therefore, it can create an energetic field that will attract what we want or what we don't want. So words are one thing, but if you tell someone something and your thoughts and actions are not congruent with what is said, the incongruency then can actually cancel one another out, canceling what we say, what we want, but then getting what we actually really feel. For those with children, and have you noticed that our children do they listen to us? I know I have issues with my children listening to me, whatever I'm saying, you know, and tell them, you wonder why they're not listening. And you have to look at it and whether our words are matching what our actions are, and what our thinking is. This then proves that the frequency of our thoughts and emotions are actually stronger than the words that we're expressing, and they're all forms of energy. So I know for me, I've always get sort of resistance with my children when I tell them something or give them some advice. But then I actually looked back and found myself repeating some behaviors of my family, my mother, and my parents would have done. And I remember when I was younger and I'm telling myself, oh, I'm not going to do that. Not like what they did. And then I realize and I look at myself and I see I'm repeating the same thing subconsciously, and it's basically become embedded into my DNA and into our DNA, what our lineage has done, propagating into the lineage. But, we can change it if we truly want to do so by being impeccable with our words and our actions. Does anybody have anything to add? So, what I do know is I try to strive now to be the example for my children because they are our future, the future of our planet. But it's not just being the example for our children, but it's being the example for everyone and everything on this earth around us who is open and receptive to the information that we're trying to share. The news media perpetuates low vibrational frequencies, thoughts, actions, news constantly. And they found that the consistency then becomes a tool of brainwashing. And this has been studied and proven. That is why, they're recurring advertisements because they want to embed it in the people to then start buying into it and then buy it. It would be nice if most of the things that they're showing on the mainstream are good for us. But I do know people who have basically stopped watching some of the mainstream media and the news. So, basically we are here on Clubhouse. And for those who are listening, which we can basically lead the way and be the example to show how we can improve our lives, our health and our well-being by living in a higher vibrational state and using our words with impeccability.
In La Question Veritas with honor, respect, and gratitude, this is Tiffany.
Again, like Hession Veritas, honor, respect, and gratitude, Tiffany.
I just, first of all, thank you for everything that you've brought forward, because it's just the way that you've said all of it resonates so much and is just so on point, obviously. I was going to bring up two just small points. One, the reason that property clearing works so well is because when these low vibrational thoughts or words, utter out that negative emotion or that negative thought, then it gets, embedded and stuck in the space. And so clearing that vibration, that energy out of the space, assists in clearing that emotion and that word and that thought form from the space as well. And I notice all of the time in all of my clearings that the benefit and the ability to neutralize everything, and it's all, so most of the negative and low vibrational energy is not from entities and other things coming in, which obviously is part of it, but most of the high toxicity levels come from words and emotions and thoughts. And, then the ability to teach people, after the clearing, how they can affect change in themselves and in their spaces by simply, changing what they think or say is really empowering. I also wanted to bring forward that I am one of those people who has completely stopped watching news. So when I come on Clubhouse and you bring up news topics, I'm like, oh wow, I had no idea.
I know. I know.
And
Yeah,
it's fascinating, but I don't really have time, like I don't want to fill my
yeah.
brain with anything that isn't
That's
necessary
needless.
for me to think about. Right. And so I don't know if am I supposed to be watching it sometime? I've just stopped because it doesn't bring me joy. I try to not speak about things that don't bring me joy unless I'm talking about how to correct them, So, I don't know. What are your thoughts about that? Because I literally am probably one of the main people in the world who has absolutely no idea what's going on. And it
Yeah.
dumbfounds my husband.
Oh, no, I think
How
a lot of
blissful
people
my
aren't.
ignorance is.
No, I think that a lot of people aren't listening to that mainstream news because it's so depressing.
Right.
I don't listen to the mainstream news. I just basically I subscribe to some of, a lot of the social media posts, and I just look for things that will interest me.
That's what I do, and
Um,
things that I can learn from, and things that, yeah, that catch my
right,
attention that way. Right, correct.
right. And I mean, time and time again, the news will be presented, and then they come back a couple months later and they say, "Oh, we thought it was this, but it's that."
Oh, well, that's a good point.
You know,
It's
what is the
it's like the
accuracy?
National Enquirer.
Yes, it is. It really is. And people don't get it because they live by the news. I remember growing up, and my parents and, the 6 o'clock news, everyone would be sitting down looking at it. I didn't do it so much, but, I remember my mother was telling me, I know you don't listen to the news, but you should know what's going on in the world. And I'm like, okay, yeah, but I think now, because of all this information with regards to the pandemic and the fear and all that, she's telling me she doesn't listen to the news anymore. And I was like, bravo. you know because it's just so disheartening.
It's interesting. My parents for currently live in the same house, and so do Kevin's parents, and both of our fathers are like glued to the TV
Mm.
when the news is on, and both of our mothers have risen above that vibration, or try to rise above that vibration on a regular basis, but it's still, when I clear their homes, it is infused in every space that they're in, and it affects all of the energy in the house all of the time.
Hmm.
Just because they don't want to do it, they're also kind of being enslaved and allowing enslavement to happen, because they're allowing
Right.
all these things to happen around them, and they just let it be blared and echo through every single crevice. I mean, it's a free will universe, but there's that catch 22 of, you know, honor and respecting, you know, the people that you live with, and then also knowing if it's not good for you, what they're listening to. So,
Well, I mean, it's one thing if okay, you're embracing that, but then to complain and
oh,
complain
there
that
you
they're
go.
getting,
That's where it changes. You're right.
I mean, so then does that mean are they happy? Or maybe they're happy being unhappy. You
And
know?
enjoying the victim mentality.
Yeah, I mean, that's what our society has come to. Who can outdo the other person's misery? You know, I, I'm kind of done with that. Because it doesn't serve anyone. So, thank you for sharing that. Does anybody have any questions? Any comments? I mean, we've got to be cognizant of this and our children. This is a world where our children are going to be living in, and they're going to be the ones who are going to be leading the way, our future. So we've got.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead. I'm listening.
Jade actually said the other day to my mother because um, she was like, "What's Grandpa doing?" And my mom was like, "Oh, he's watching TV." She was like, "You need to start convincing him to not do that as much because it's not good for our brains and it's not good to just watch whatever anyone else is telling you on the television." And she was
Oh
like, "Well,
wow,
maybe you can convince him." Yeah, I mean, she just like it was just straight talk.
wow. Right, and your mom told her to go and talk to him.
Totally.
See
She
if
was like, he won't listen to me, but he'll listen to you. Maybe you should convince him. She also told him when we were on vacation, when he was using spray sunscreen, she was like, I'm going to convince you to use something that's healthier because that is not good for your body. And I'm like, she knows. And she's only 5 and she knows. Like, the adults need to get on board, right?
Right. But the thing is, I mean, you're basically sharing with us. I mean, you follow these things that she's sharing with everyone,
Correct.
and you're not just telling her. I had a friend whose child had ended up with um with diabetes, but then, knowing that the child needed to change the diet, but then that means the whole household has to change their diet. It's not just one
Yes.
thing to help the child, and if you don't do that, how does it look when, you're telling your child, no, eat that plain piece of bread, not, well, not saying, I'm just for example, or plain piece of vegetables, and then I'm going to eat the savory, stuff that actually is not even better for you. It's not as good for you. The child's not going to do that. They're going to follow basically what you do. They're looking at us. They are really looking at us. They're not necessarily listening to what we say. Now, if it matches what we say and what we and our actions, then that's a different story. But they'll pick up on that. You know. Any comments? Another thing that I found interesting that Lota was putting in, she's talked about how, the definitions of words are changing. She said in one of her reels that she bought several dictionaries because the definitions are changing when you Google them. An example is pedophilia. The new definition is having the like of children. So there's no mention of a criminal act, and something's wrong with it. It's just another way of life of liking children, and so it's acceptable. you know. So I don't know, but anyway,
In the Catch and Veritas with honor, respect, and gratitude. This is Anna Har.
and the
Um,
kitchen gratitude.
I looked into that, and it was that they have broadened the terms to make it address a larger group, a larger demographic by expanding on the terms of what it is. If that makes
Hmm.
any sense. If that
Well,
makes
it's to
any
make it
sense.
acceptable. They're trying to make it acceptable. and into the main. It's the gradual way of making it an acceptable act. That's how I see it. It's even also too with um the vaccinations, for example. They're allowing children to consent for their own vaccinations when the parents without the parents' consent, or allowing children to decide whether they should get a sex change without the parents' consent. There's stories child come is coming back and said, you know, I want to have kids, and I wasn't really old enough to make that decision.
Well, and there's that idea that like if you broaden something, you dilute it. you know, the
Yeah.
wider something gets, the more diluted it gets. It's not like you're narrowing down the specificity of the heinousness.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
I had actually had a conversation with a client earlier in the week, and she was very just actually it was last week. She was very just she didn't know how to respond when um, her 11-year-old came up and said, I'm kind of confused. I think I'm supposed to be a girl, and I would really like to start wearing dresses and painting my nails and doing my hair." And she was like, we have to talk about this later because I'm not sure how to respond. So I got that 911 call, and I immediately and I was didn't even have the book in front of me, but I immediately the sheet in the soul translation technology came forward, and it was like very very magnificent the way it came forward, that to tell her
Mhm.
son to tell her son, before you were born, you decided on this body.
Mm.
This is the body you decided you wanted to have for this experience. And she said that it was like the weight was lifted off of her shoulders. Oh, that resonates. That makes so much sense to have to
Mhm.
tell him that, because it's like, oh, okay, I'm supposed to be like this. I'm supposed to have these parts. Okay, got it. And it just totally flipped the switch on the conversation.
Mm.
The
I think
intelligence
also,
of
oh,
the
go.
technology came forward. I'm sorry, go ahead, Tiffany.
I was going to say, I think also this idea that we all are one. We all are male and female. We all are
Mhm.
both polarities. We all are of the earth, of the sun. Male and female made both of us, or both male and female made us. And so it's completely normal and natural to identify with both parts
Yeah,
and
Right.
necessary to
yes,
identify with both parts. What that looks like on the outside is whatever. It's like a minor detail, but identifying, being able to, and when you're 11, I feel like a lot of times identify with what things look like more, and so even maybe adding that into the conversation, that we have both of the sides in us always, and so it's totally normal to feel both ways, but then that doesn't mean it changes our genitals.
Right.
right, right.
Right.
Thank you,
Right. It's
Tiffany.
an interesting topic.
I know,
Yeah.
I don't know what's right or wrong. This is just what came forward to me as you were saying that, and that's just
Yes.
apparently how I feel.
No, well, it's
Yeah.
the truth. It is the truth, and that part of the conversation didn't come up, but that I have had that conversation with others as well. And oh yes, another mom who who was at the ranch one day had that conversation with her son, and I told her exactly that. And I get it's really interesting that the universe brings forward through us what that person needs to hear.
Mhm. 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 Yeah, I think those are both excellent points. And I'm actually going to use it too. Thank you. Yeah, because it puts things in perspective for them, and it allows them to think, and actually it does take the burden off of the parent, but also the child, who is having conflicting thoughts, because based on societal rules, You were told you have to be a certain way because you look a certain way.
Yes, and she said that her 16-year-old around the same age came forward and said they had the same conversation with him, where he was having those confusing thoughts, but he is no longer of that confusion. He's no
Oh,
longer confused about what's going on where. That he's confident in who he is. He's a guy. He's okay identifying as a guy, and let's go forward.
okay. Good, good. I mean, that was an excellent way to handling that. Thank you for sharing that. Oh, does anybody else have any comments to share, particularly on this topic? That's even another topic to discuss. All right. Well, um, I want to then encourage everyone to consider, the Gloria Gardens joining that, the affordable annual subscription of the Sun, who's interested in growing their own food, providing tips of growing food with an energetic and spiritual angle. Just go to ofthesun.com to find more information regarding this membership. We are doing several postings. There was a really great newsletter that was released. We talked about it somewhat at the last Clubhouse. Um, and, I encourage you to take a look at it. We're actually doing postings because myself, Serenity, and Diane are out there learning how to farm and growing. Tiffany's out there showing us how to um, make kava, right? Is that what it's called? A kava fermenting?
Kvass, fruit
Oh,
kvass.
kava. Okay,
Yes, a
kava.
fermented drink.
You know, so there's a lot going on. And Anahara was actually out there helping us this past weekend, planting, because we finally have um, placed seeds into the ground. So it's real exciting. And Stacy and her kids, her children, showing how they're growing mushrooms. But go ahead, Tiffany. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, I was just had a thought about all the way what you talked about at the beginning in terms of our thoughts and our words and the impeccability. And I had an experience today that literally every single thought I had, like it barely entered my mind, and then it manifested into existence. And
Mm,
so it made me I can't even think of what the word is, just very deliberate the rest of the day with what I was thinking, because it would even be, I had a thought of, oh, I want to go to this event and talk about property clearing, and then it made its way, like as I'm thinking it, oh, you should go to this event today, okay, and so I cleared and got ready to go to the event today, and then a lot of stresses started happening in my family, and so immediately my thought was, oh, maybe I shouldn't be going today, and then immediately a hiccup came into play with
mm.
a way that I couldn't
Oh,
go, you know what I mean? And then
yeah.
my next thought was, it's okay. This event's going to be amazing anyway, and I'm still going to benefit from it, even if I'm not physically there. Then I get a text like minutes later from somebody who's at the event. I just got a business card from someone who really wants to talk to you. Here's her number. Please call her. And I'm like, oh my
Oh,
gosh.
wow. Very
It,
cool.
it
Very
was
cool.
just one thing after the other. And so then I thought, I really need to be very deliberate. And we hear this all the time, right? And Lotus says this all the time to us, but
Yep.
I need to be so mindful of every single thought. And none of these things were even uttered out loud. But every single thought that comes into my experience, because with our thoughts and with our words, we're creating our next moment. And it was so clear today. And so then I just stepped into other life-giving things today and worked in the garden and harvested all the collards and, just kind of moved into that space. And then we were just outside all day long. And then Jade set up this massive picnic for the whole family. And it was just, everything unfolded so beautifully. And rather than me, realizing that the initial, rather than stepping into frustration about any of it, and it was really a
Hmm.
cool experience today.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right, because I have to sometimes when I don't think something's going the way I want it to go, I start thinking, more on a lower vibrational thought form, and I'm like, oh, I got to snap out of it, because then more of it comes. And then when I release that, then it and the frequency shifts, and then I start getting more positive responses.
Right, and
And
that's
so,
what happened today. And I realized that like sometimes things don't always unfold in the way that you think they're going to. So like my
right.
limitation that I have to be there to have the benefit of what's there, you
Right,
know.
exactly.
And so it was just so I was very proud of myself. I just acted like a child and got over every little detail and moved forward, and it was lovely. Now I have a whole
That's
pot of collard greens to cook that I hadn't even intended on starting today.
that's great. That's great. No, thank you for sharing that, because again, our words are powerful. Our thoughts, to be congruent with them, will then help us to manifest what we want. But it's the emotion and the thought that is actually the most important, because that thought and those feelings and emotions will override what is being said. It'll either cancel what we say we want, or it'll then reverse and give us something that we don't want. And another thing I found is that you're requesting, you're asking the universe to provide you with something, a particular outcome. But then you come around and you keep asking and asking, and that's based on impatience. You keep asking and asking. So, but that in itself is an implication that you don't trust that you already going to receive it. And therefore, then it slows down what you're being given, or may even negate it, and it doesn't manifest. I don't know if you understand that.
Oh, yes, yes, ditto, triple, everything you just said.
Okay. Yeah, and I found that, and the thing is that that's something I'm constantly working at, because in a society where we ask for things and we get it, we expect it instantaneously. It's sometimes you have to wait, because then you're waiting for the best possible outcome, as opposed to getting something that's halfway because of the immediate response that you expect to have or get, and not being patient and just trusting the universe, that the universe will come and provide for you. So thank you for sharing that, Tiffany. All right. So, don't I want to remind everyone of the Divine Nation workshop. Our next one is next week, Friday, March 17th at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, working with the Call for Truth Divination deck, the companion for the Call for Truth uh, publication written by Lota Rasul. Again, completely free. And I also want to
In
bring up
Lakesh.
that we did, oh, and Lakeisha Veritas, honor,
Oh,
respect, and gratitude, Diane. Yes.
sorry. In Lakesh and Veritas on respect and gratitude. It's not going to be the 17th.
Oh,
It's
it's
going to
not.
be the 24th instead.
Oh, okay, 24th. All right.
Yes.
Thank you for
Thank
that
you.
clarification.
Clarify that. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you for the clarification. Okay, the 24th. And I also want to do a quick shout out. We had our monthly Divine Feminine Clubhouse this past Sunday on the 5th. It was a very good turnout, very engaging. I think that there was some information and collaboration, to the point where I am going to have a recap and follow up on the Sunday the 19th at 5:30 p.m. Eastern time, so that we can continue. But this time I'm going to do it through Zoom. So those who are interested in joining, I'm going to send out a flyer, and just go ahead and register, so that then I can send you the Zoom link for it, because there was a lot to be said about how to help us enhance our business, shared with one another, and I think that we could all benefit from that. So please look out for that. And I think that's it. Thank you, everyone, for joining and participating this evening. Look forward to seeing you next week on more enlightening discussions. And remember, now our words have power, and words convey messages of knowledge, which is power, so that we can take action from this knowledge, which is true power. With honor, respect, and gratitude, and Lakesh and Veritas.
Invocation Veritas, honor, respect, and
And Lakesh
gratitude.
Veritas,
And
Thank
respect and
Lakesh
you.
gratitude.
Veritas, honor, respect, and gratitude.
And Lakesh Veritas, honor, respect, and
Thank you.
gratitude. Thank you.